We are live. Another impromptu live event that I did not announce. Sorry about those of you who keep missing these, but we do it when we have the opportunity to do it, and got the opportunity to do it here. I'll bring up this reminder several of times throughout the video as more people come on and join. We have added another one of the events to our tour list. This one is in San Jose, California. There is a link right below in the description box that has all of the dates and locations of our tour and how to come to those, how to get tickets to those. Also, our Twitter is linked there down below. Links to Observer Ranch, those who are still interested. Books, playlists, other things like that. Other than that, as you can see from the title, we're going to be answering questions about Earth's disaster cycle, the recurring catastrophe, which is not only about due, but all the signs are there that it's happening again. And since we are sunspot maximum and part of this ongoing disaster cycle is that Earth's magnetic field is weakening, figure we would answer questions about the solar kill shot as well, in case you guys have any of those. Yes, Raised Right, watch the playlist. The playlists are down there below, linked in the video description box as well. Yes, Awakened One, solar flash. Sometimes it's called the solar flash. It doesn't really mean anything to say a solar flash. It's just sort of a flashy way of describing what the sun is going to do. Super flare followed by solar micronova would be the best, most technical ways to describe it. Hello, Baby Yoda. Good to see you checking in. You going to send me an email? We're going to hang out or something here in Colorado Springs? Grab some coffee? Maybe. Anyway. Wow, you guys are jumping on here quickly. All right, if anybody's just jumping in, I guess I'll repeat myself. We've added the San Jose, California event to our tour list. Right below the video in the description box, you can find a link to all of our tour dates, events, and how to get tickets for those. There's also links to the normal stuff, Twitter, playlists, books, etc. Bomberry asks, Killshot in 5 years' time, my thoughts? Maybe. In 5 years, we should be on the descending aspect of the sunspot cycle. And so, I'd say that it's certainly possible in 5 years, possible in 3 years, possible in 20 years. The next safer time when we are at a really low risk of something like that would be about 6 to 8 years from now, when we're kind of in the low point of sunspot minimum in the cycle. Remember, we go up and down every 11 years. And, that could actually be here in as little as 5 years. Solar maximum is expected to peak either next year in 2024 or in 2025. At which point we will then start to descend and go down a little bit. So in 5 years, we actually could be, well on the descending phase of the cycle. Then again, the strongest solar flares of the last 11-year sunspot cycle happened in the descending phase, and that wasn't the first time it had happened either. So the descending phase of the cycle is not exactly we're out of the woods kind of territory. But yeah, we are, we have a lot of that. A lot of this risks now from the sun, not only because it's sunspot maximum in the 11-year cycle, but because Earth's magnetic field, our protection from things like the sun, is diminishing as the magnetic poles are shifting. Celestial Wolf, finally catching up with the Q&A. Fantastic idea, my friend. And thank you very much. Good to see you. Wesley Smith, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Good to see you. Good to see all of you, actually, as the number of viewers just keeps climbing. Oh, R. Adrian, that's a good question. What will be the effects of the kill shot and rebar in concrete buildings? The solar kill shot, maybe not too much, but the solar micronova probably going to melt those, if not cause them to arc like lightning. Not a good time to be in a bunker with rebarred concrete. If we get too many glancing blows, will we suffer adverse effects that could take out our power too? Glancing blows meaning the sun fires off a coronal mass ejection this way, but the edge of it clips the Earth. We'd have to take a whole bunch of them right in a row. Once the geomagnetic activity has waned back down, it's like that event is over. And one that comes 5 days later, 2 weeks later, doesn't add on to what we've had happen and what the magnetic field has already dealt with and we have moved past from. If the magnetic field has already settled back down, then how many we get wouldn't matter. Now, if the sun popped off 10 times in a row and we got hit with 10 of these in a day and a half, yeah, then it matters, and it's certainly possible. Something like that actually happened in September of 2011. We had 2 fairly good-sized CMEs actually go off the western limb, but they both clipped us with glancing blows only about 9 hours apart, and we got a pretty solid geomagnetic storm out of that. Luckily, it didn't take the grids down. None of them were direct impacts. But again, if they're close enough in succession, yeah. Too many space weather events close enough in succession is one of the ways this can happen. And as I've said before, it is almost as likely that it'll be a combination of 2, 3, 4 events hitting in succession rather than a super flare, especially with our weakening magnetic field and how much more often we get multiple events compared to us getting an actual super flare from the sun. Good question, though. Good question. There we go. Now you guys are getting active. JG, you got your tickets already for San Jose? It's been up like 20 minutes. Actually, I don't know when Kat put that up. She could have put it up 2 hours ago. I just happened to look before jumping on the live stream and I saw it was there. Oh, I'm going to have to call you back, buddy. It's Adrian, Suspect Sky, calling me right now. He will wait. Knucking Futz. Yeah, that's me, buddy. What? It's a heck of a name you've got there, dude. Wow, since so many more people have jumped on here, I will remind everyone again, we've added San Jose to the list of tour locations. We've got one in South Carolina, one in Buffalo, Arizona as well. Links to those are down below in the description box, along with the links to the normal stuff, Observer Ranch, our books, websites, playlists, and our Twitter. If you're not following us on Twitter, go down and click that link and follow us there. We are having so much fun. I know I've said that before, but we really are. Gundy asked, if past events can only be guessed within hundreds of years, how can you say the next event will be within the 20-year period? Well, math. Earth's magnetic field is doing this. The way that the dust is accumulating in the inner solar system and the chemistry is changing. We've gone from losing 5% of the magnetic field per century to 5% per decade. One of these geomagnetic jerks coming up is going to take it to 5% per year. It's a curve that can be mathematically applied looking forward. If we didn't have things like that, we could only say, oh, yeah, we see some of the signs. It could happen at any time in the next 100, 200 years. But no, you can do the math. And in addition to being able to do the math on the geophysical side of things, look at what the people in charge of this planet are doing. They're reckless because they know there's no reckoning. They are reckless because they know there's no reckoning. They are spending like there's no tomorrow because they know that pretty soon there won't be. Acting in their own self-interest. That's what's happening. Everything points to it being on our doorstep. Miriam asks, hello, Ben, could you please say how you see the impact on Central and Eastern Europe? I'm from the Czech Republic. Thanks so much. Well, I do believe that based on the pattern and the flash and where the shell hits are very predictable when you look back in time and see where they've been hitting. They're just traversing across the planet like this. Looks like you guys are going to take the flash. I do think that the volcanoes you guys get are going to be pretty bad, specifically from Italy and Greece. And those are going to basically be pretty damaging for Central and Eastern Europe, mostly the one in Italy. Campi Flegrei. Other than that, if you manage to survive the slosh of the Mediterranean, the solar flash, and the volcanoes, you'll end up in pretty good shape. It's just you have a lot more to handle in order to get to the next stage of Earth than, say, somebody in the new Valley of the Sun or people in Mongolia. It's going to be a rough one. Not to mention the fact that it's a high density population there in that part of Europe, which is not good. Ralph, hello. It was nice to talk to you earlier today. Holy cow, really appreciate your support. You're the best. I talked to Ralph on the phone earlier today, and their name is not Ralph. But I'm not going to tell you what their name is. Privacy and whatnot. Just know they're cool. Been looking at industrial scale plastic and rubber spray coating for both internal and external coating of shipping container. How thick of a coat? Oof. The continuity and the completeness of the coating is probably just as important as the thickness. Does not have to be that thick. Does not have to be that thick. But don't leave a gap. Shipping containers are dangerous. The internal arcing. Might want to consider multiple of those Tesla lightning protectors. If you don't know about the Tesla lightning protection patent, look it up. You'll know you found it when the thing looks like an umbrella. Green Star, are the next predicted geo-Arctic poles about where they were last time? If so, is there any remaining evidence like seen in the Nanook book? So the new poles should be in the Bay of Bengal and somewhere off the coast of South America. There is not as much deep sea coring there as I would like to see, but there's not too much deep sea coring anywhere. They don't tend to do that in the middle of the ocean simply because they just do it on land. It's 1,000 times easier. Most of the evidence from where the poles were last time, it's in the ocean, under the ocean, at the bottom of the ocean, under a lot of sediment. Major White's book about Project Nanook, which rhymes so cleverly. That's really the best evidence we have, combined with the fact that there are still tropical glaciers, combined with trees way up north that don't have any tree rings, indicating that they were once in the tropical zone, things like that. Am I aware of Martin Armstrong's work? Yep. Also based on multi-scale cycle analysis and his prediction that 2032 will mark some kind of massive change for the U.S. I haven't heard that one specifically. Wouldn't be shocked. Wouldn't be shocked if it happened a few years earlier or a few years later. No matter where you're looking for this, whether you are looking at physics like I am, whether you're looking at purely statistical cycles like he is, whether you're looking at the world from a religious perspective, and almost any of the religions will do, or whether you're looking at it from an economic perspective, there are signs to tell you that we are almost done. Ignore them at your own peril. As a captain on the water, I noticed the GPS satellites needed to be updated more often. 5 years isn't cutting it. I quit and moved to higher ground. Yes, baby Yoda. They had to update the geomagnetic field reference model a year early last time because it had changed too much for them to actually be of use to anyone, which was not good. That's not a good sign. Absolutely correct. Send me an email so we can grab coffee. Tasmania at high altitude, any chance? I'm not going to sit here and say there's no chance in the world, but I'd rather be somewhere else. The water is going to be absolutely ridiculous in Tasmania. Same goes for New Zealand, actually. Those areas scare me, not to mention that the sun has a better chance of taking out your power earlier if you are at a high geomagnetic latitude, which, presuming you own a globe, you know Tasmania is at a high geomagnetic latitude in the southern hemisphere. I'm not going to tell you you have no shot. You got things working against you in Tasmania, even if you get up to high ground. Put it that way. Tim says, thanks for the info. Keep it up. I plan to do it, Tim. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good to see you here. I like encouragement. Like if literally all of you were like, you suck at this, stop doing it. I mean, I wouldn't, but it'd be a little harder to go on, at least with a smile on my face like I usually do. What are the alternatives to metal for above ground structures? What is Observer Ranch doing? Looking to build a 4+ zone greenhouse in the mountains. All right, greenhouses are a good idea. In-ground greenhouses are a better idea. We have several things we definitively plan for the ranch, and we have several things that we are still looking at various options. I can tell you I prefer hempcrete, aircrete, and wood to anything metal. I prefer an earthen home or something covered in the ground more than I do anything that is strictly above the ground. If you can make a house out of plastic, I say go for it. Then again, if it's too far above ground, the hail and the wind are not going to be your friend. Any chance of a European tour? Portugal is tops. I've heard that. I would love to have visited there. I mean, I would love to visit there, but I think that the chances of me hopping across the pond are probably pretty low, just if I had to guess. I'll say hi to you from here, though. 2 tongue twisters, a limerick, a couple of haikus. I hope my trolling was benign. You can add puns to the list. Cheers. Cheers to you, Haywood. Irina. Hey, Ben, I live in Northern Europe and some hills are 5,000 plus feet, 250 miles away from the Norwegian Sea. Will it be a safe place for cave building? Maybe. Let's just presume that you are high enough to avoid the sloshback. And let's just presume that. Your main issue is, how well do you do there if you've got to go a decade without power? Are you far enough away from people? Will you have enough supplies? Will you be able to handle those winters, not only in the northern parts of Europe, but up at elevation? Those are your main concerns there. 5,000 feet, you got at least a good chance being clear of the waves. I'll say that. You got at least a good chance. Lightseeker, good to see you. Again, thank you very much. Appreciate the support. Is the solar generator a waste of money now due to the big sneeze? Kinda. I'm again not going to sit here and say guaranteed every single one of them will fry. They're probably not going to work. Unless you can have everything disconnected and in a plastic bin, and then you set the whole thing up afterwards. And I'm talking like even the batteries and literally everything disconnected and protected in plastic. Yeah, I think everyone that's currently connected, even if it's not connected to the grid, if it is operating and exposed, yeah, it's going to fry. Are they trying to take people out with the therapy so that they will not have therapy, so that they will not be part of the event and in a backwards way helping people? That's a yes to the first part. I don't know how much they're saying, whether it's taking mercy on people or sort of clearing the road for the survivors. But this is a bioweapon. And from what I've seen, a spiritual one as well. Avoid at all cost. I don't know the specifics on it, but I'm also hearing that there are detoxes from the therapy. I'm not looking into them very much because I didn't get anything in my arm and neither did anybody in my family. But if you did and you're regretting it, you should be. Something you might want to look into. Ben, how's Laramie or Cheyenne, Wyoming as a safer area than Pacific Northwest for the big flip? Downtown Cheyenne, in the most populated area, no. But in general, all of these areas on the eastern side of the Rockies are probably going to be okay. Again, like as was the case before, your biggest things are don't be too close to the population. How are you going to handle the winters if you have to go 10 of them with no power? Make sure you have enough supplies and rock that Second Amendment. That's your best shot. Scrolling, enhance. Do you know Theora up? Yeah. So he's got some good points. He is no fan of me, by the way, Celestial Wolf. He does not like us at all. He's making some good points, but the points that he's making aren't things you can't find if you study plasma cosmology or the magnetic universe or the electric universe or any number of other individuals. And yeah, sometimes he's hard to listen to, isn't he? Put it this way, there's definitely worse people than him on the internet. Definitely worse people than him on the internet. We're waiting. Okay, there we go. Tony Rango, hello, buddy. I should add Montana to my tour. We would love to have you. Glad to catch you live. Yeah. Be nice to add Montana to the list. We'll look into it. For those who listen to Fly on the Wall, that is the Tony Rango from Fly on the Wall. He lives up there close to Cyril, also from Fly on the Wall. Walking the walk, put it that way. Mad respect for stuff like that. For those just joining us, right down below the video, all of the tour dates that we have announced and the locations. We added a new one today after the morning news. Check out where we're going to be, when we're going to be there. Grab your tickets to the event. Check out the links for Observer Ranch. Right now, we have got like the last couple of spots. We're really kind of only taking new interest from accredited investors at this point. But if that's you and you want to be a part of Observer Ranch, you think there's a chance that me and the people that are going to be around me will help you survive and your family survive, it's probably not the dumbest thing that's ever rolled through your head. Observer Ranch links down below, along with the playlists, our books, and my Twitter. If you're not following us on Twitter, please come have fun with us. It is amazing now that Elon Musk runs it. No, I don't like the idea of getting a neurochip in my head, but SpaceX is impressive. I got to admit, the Teslas are impressive. The Boring Company's impressive, and Twitter is very impressive. How can the jabbed heel treat their damaged heart's magnetic field so the solar shot doesn't become a kill shot? Two things. One, that detox thing I was talking about. Again, I don't know too much about it because I didn't get anything put in my body, and neither did anybody in my family. But I am seeing people talking about detox therapies for the vax. The other thing you can do is enhance your body's energy field. Proper diet. Clean food only. No GMOs. No processed crap. Get your physical and mental self in the best shape possible. And yes, that means things like losing weight, getting stronger, getting fit, healing traumas, reducing insecurities, things like that. Would anywhere in the Appalachian Mountains be safe for those looking for a detox? Check Dr. Joseph Mercola and the Epic Times. It's very well timed there, Ms. K. In terms of the Appalachian Mountains question, it's a quasi yes. There are the peaks of a lot of the Appalachians are going to stay dry, but then what? Do you move up to the top of that peak and just live there until then? If not, are you going to be able to drag all your supplies up there? If not, after you've stayed dry and watched the wave go below you, what do you go back down to? Nothing. So in theory, yes, there's a way to stay dry in the Appalachians. In theory, yes, you could get on something that floats and float away in the Appalachians. But then what? Yeah, people are going to survive that way. It's just that there's a way to give yourself a better chance. Next question. How about Southern Ural Mountains, Russia, 500 feet above sea level, and build something that floats? I'm an excellent survivor. Thanks. Depends which part of the Urals you're talking about. I could see some areas in there staying dry. You still have the issue of winters without power there. I'd like to be more than 500 feet no matter where I am above sea level. But yeah, the same things I was mentioning about before are important there too. Especially there, presuming you're picking somewhere in the Urals that's far away from people. Getting enough supplies. What do you do during the winter time when there's no power? If you can figure that stuff out, which I mean, like we're doing that for the ranch, but those would be your main concerns there. Lesha Eastley, thank you. Good to see you. It's a nice little emoji / GIF meme. Hey, dude, will Phoenix be safe in the coming disaster? What, like downtown? No. Everyone's going to start eating each other. No big city is safe. None. No big city is safe in this disaster. If you're talking about the outlying areas, well, Phoenix is pretty big. People are going to disperse, so you better be well outside of Phoenix. And your big questions then are water and making sure you've got enough food supply and your Second Amendment. But in theory, there's places all over Arizona that could be safe. Sigmund Fred, that's a cool name. Thank you for your support. It's good to see you again, by the way. Nisha, good to see you, and thank you for your support. Greatly appreciated. Sure, I didn't miss one there. No, it doesn't appear I did. For those just joining us, look down below in the description box. We've added San Jose, California to the Blitz tour we're doing in a couple of months. See where we're going to be, see where we're going to be there. Grab your tickets for the event closest to you. We will be adding a couple more if you want to wait a couple of days to see where that's going to be. Or if you just want to grab a ticket and then say, oh, wait a minute, this one's closer to me. If I add another one in 3 days, just cancel the one ticket and get another one, etc. Lots of good links down there, not only to our tour, but to everything else that's important resource-wise, including Twitter. And once again, shameless plug. If you are not following us on Twitter, what are you doing with your life? I'm on there all day. It's so much fun. And not like all day, but I post and I comment on things all day. It's a lot of fun. After the crustal shift, will the predicted new poles, Bay of Bengal and offshore South America, be the new magnetic pole locations? Yes. Both. They will be the new magnetic pole locations and the new geographic north and south poles because the Earth is going to do that. Watch the playlist. But yes, the answer to your question is both. Both. Thank you, Fish, by the way. Appreciate that. Will Kansas be safe? The Gulf of Mexico is going to run right up through Kansas. The winds, the tornadoes, the lightning are going to be terrible in Kansas. There's a lot of bad news about Kansas. There's a lot of bad news about most of the center of the country, actually. Define big city, please. Any city. A big town, a big village. Too many people is not good to be around. Put it that way, buddy. Ben, how do I feel about the northeast corner of Utah? Not bad. Certainly worse places to be. Hopefully you'll be surrounded by people who are ideologically similar to you and would consider you like family. Again, there you have some of the same issues. You're probably going to stay dry. Make sure you're thinking about winters without power. Scrolling. Question, in the micronova event, energized plasma dissolves on the surface of the water. Could we protect solar panels and zip-locked electronics by immersing them in deep water? No. In a lightning storm, can you just dive deeper in the pool and be okay? It's not the energized plasma coming down from the sun. It's the induced electric current in the atmosphere and the crust and everything else, all the way down to Earth's core. Not a direct line of sight from the sun. You can't hold up something like this and hide from it. It's coming in like this. Induced directly. Induction is a BIA in this event. That is the technical term. What about Mississippi? No. Mississippi is worse than Kansas. What's the most likely way for the Gulf of Mexico to come up? The Mississippi River. What areas are going to be hit worst? The lowest lying areas. Mississippi is not in good shape. We need to protect bees from Gates and the jab. Oh, yeah. There wasn't really a question in there, Andrew, but yeah. For those of you who don't know, Bill Gates wants to vaccinate bees. Doesn't want you eating meat. Doesn't want you eating eggs. Wants to vaccinate cows and bees. Cool dude. Somebody needs to hit him with another pie. What would be your suggested minimum elevation to set up a new home? That answer is different for literally every location in the world. Every location in the world. That answer is different. It's a tough one to answer. Really tough one to answer. As high as you can, as far away from the ocean and big cities as you can. And make sure you build a basement, if not a separate root cellar or bunker. Hello again, Irina. I'll take a call with you. I accept. We'll share ideas. I want to save my laptop with library in it in multiple layer plastic, alley cage disassembled. What chance? Yeah, that's possible to do, especially if you're wrapping it in plastic. The problem is, how are you going to turn it on? How are you going to turn it on? I mean, you might be able to, if you've got some battery, some juice left in the thing, yeah, you might turn it on and get a couple hours out of it, and then it's gone forever. What's the plan? Hard copies. Hard copies. You're not going to be able to plug the thing in and recharge it. Caveat to that. If you're also going to be saving a portable solar thing that has a USB plug or something else you can plug it in theory, you could keep it going for a little longer. Take a look at the lifetime usage of those, though. Eventually, that stuff's not going to be accessible, not going to be usable anymore. But yes, you could make it survive the first one. Miss Mary, I'm laughing right along with you. That was some funny-ish right there. 72. I live on Maine's seashore. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 takes me out. First son, therapy, mandate, tsunami, government, hungry neighbors, or old age. First of all, that's not the way to be thinking right now. That's not the way to be thinking, Jesse. Be thinking about what you can do to fix all of those things. And I know you can't fix your age, but there's our biological age and our chronological age. I assure you, my biological age was much older 10 years ago than it is right now. I was not a healthy guy. My body is younger and healthier right now than it was 10 years ago. So there is something you can actually do about that. Change your mind, change your life. Passing Arcturus. Now, that's a good name. How safe is it in Indiana, Northeast USA? I don't really consider. Are you asking about Northeast Indiana or the Northeast USA? The Northeast USA, no. Indiana, probably going to need something that floats. The Appalachians are not going to stop the Atlantic. You get to the highest point in Indiana, maybe the waters go around you. Hope you live there permanently. Hope that's where all your supplies are. And hope you're not in Indianapolis where all those people are. That in Indiana gets ridiculously cold in the wintertime. Make sure you too plan. What if you have a decade with no power and you got to deal with those winters? James Stinson, thank you for your support. Good to see you, buddy. Scrolling. Baby Yoda, could I order some sun for us up here? Dude, yeah, it's been a brutal week, and it's not going to get any better. I mean, like Saturday's supposed to be okay here, but not going to be a fun rest of January or start of February. Can I please comment? Any thoughts about the effectiveness of Kevlar fabric lining the basement? There's some studies about its use in space. Maybe. Maybe. It's a lot of Kevlar. It's a lot of Kevlar. If you could pull it off, then yeah, it's helpful. No doubt. That's a lot of Kevlar. Arc discharges. Can I elaborate on the Grand Canyon and opposite exit location? It's a tough call. Grand Canyon could have been electrical discharge carving. Same with Mariana Trench. Same with Valles Marineris on Mars. I'm hoping that when it happens this time, it doesn't create one, because I think it's going to hit the Pacific this time if you go based on the pattern of where it's hit before. But yeah, if you're asking about could this possibly be what's causing it, yeah, of course. Every experiment that's ever been done in that line has shown the power of electric arcs on geology. So I don't know why it would be any different this time. But it was much harder for us to see the same effect on a discharge. Like when Billy shot the current through multiple layers of rock, we only really ever saw the effects up on the top layer on the sediment like that. What happens when it's coming out the other way? It's a good question. Daniel, thank you very much. Appreciate your support. Good to see you, my friend. And we are caught up. Booyah. So, no, Ladine, you don't need to rewind, because I'm going to repeat the beginning right now. We added San Jose to the tour. We are going to be adding a couple more dates to the tour here. Link to our events in the upcoming Blitz tour, when we're going to be there, your tickets right below the video, along with a bunch of other things, Observer Ranch, books, playlists, and my Twitter. Follow us there, right down there in the description box. Hello again, None. If the Bay of Bengal is the North Pole, the west coast of South America is the South Pole. However, Colombia would be far enough north. It would be like Buenos Aires. Good enough at 8,000 feet? Maybe. You're going to be dealing with earthquakes. You're going to be dealing with lightning. You're going to be dealing with volcanoes. And maybe 8,000 feet is high enough. Presuming you're far enough away from the population, which I know is possible in Colombia. Yeah, it's possible. It also depends where off the coast of South America we're talking there. And that's kind of an open question. The exact opposite side of the world is off the coast of Peru or Ecuador. The exact opposite of the Dragon's Triangle is somewhere between the Bermuda Triangle and the South Atlantic Anomaly. So it's kind of taking a guess there. If you're going to be in Colombia, though, if that's where you're going to be, yeah, get up as high as you can. 8,000 feet is probably as good as you're going to do there. Preferred wind, lee side of mountain chain with regards to crops since the mountain chains largely go north-south today, dramatically altering weather patterns. Yeah, but we don't exactly know how powerful the weather systems are going to be. I mean, when a low-pressure system crosses here, first the wind's going this way, then the wind's going this way, then the wind's going this way, and then the wind's going this way. Expect variable winds, at least in the event. In terms of crops after the shift, well, by that point, you'll be able to tell where the prevailing winds are, hopefully, and act accordingly if you know how to do that from an agricultural perspective. Do I think websites like FloodMap are a good resource for planning a safe home location? If so, can you recommend a water height higher than FloodMap goes, I think? Now, I haven't been on FloodMap in a while, but when I did it before, they were all things that were only really realistic with a little bit of global warming. Like, they weren't for like, hey, 5,000 feet of high tide. So no, I can't recommend a water height, unfortunately. Especially because it's going to be different everywhere. It will literally be different. What's the terrain like? Is it funneling or is it dispersing? How deep is the water body it's coming out of? Gulf of Mexico versus the Atlantic versus the Mediterranean. Too many variables for me to answer how high is high enough or what's my number on how high the floods will be. It's a legit question. It is a legit question. There's just no way for me to answer it. Ben, I feel like the grid, when it's reconstructed, is going to be modernized and better, hopefully more resilient. Would bullets pop off in an event such as this? I don't think they're going to be reconstructing the grid. I think when it goes down, it's down. Because all the trucks are down. All the communication is down. The factories to produce more are down. All the ones they've built and are waiting in reserve, fried anyway. After the super flare, we're not coming back. And it's possible bullets could go popcorn. It's also possible they might not, even if they are sitting on a metal table. We are keeping ours in plastic containers, just to be sure. Mimi, late joining. When do I anticipate this? Thanks. In terms of the solar kill shot, anytime. Could be this sunspot maximum. Could be next week. Could be a year from now. Could be next sunspot maximum in about 10 years. In terms of the magnetic pole flip, the crustal unlocking in the solar micronova, sometime in the 2030s to 2040s. But the moment the solar kill shot happens, prepping is over and you are where you are. So act accordingly. Good question, though. 3Gen, top 10 X-Flare preparedness must-haves and do's. Other than moving to the right location, food, water, seeds, your Second Amendment, blankets, clothes for anything, pre-industrial tools. Did I say seeds already? I don't know if that was 10, but stuff like that. Pre-industrial tools. FMZ, appreciate your support. Thank you very much. Hello again, Arena. Will magnets and coils work? I don't know. That's a good question. Or any AC/DC generator work after the flip saved in plastic? Maybe. The problem is that it's not just one event, especially if we're talking the micronova. Let's say you manage to survive and get your generator to survive, any kind of generator to survive the micronova. For years, we're going to have super flares on the sun. How do you know when to pull it out? You don't. If we get the solar kill shot, how do you know we're not getting another super flare the next week? Prepare for pre-industrial life on that one. Golden Age Archangel, is there a chance the micronova or kill shot could happen 1,290 days after constant feature was removed from March 2020 to September 2023? After constant feature was removed from March 2020 to September 2023. I'm not sure I fully understand what you're saying. I associate March 2020 with COVID nonsense. And I guess 1,290 days would take us to September of this year. September is when one of the activity cycles is supposed to peak. I don't think the micronova is going to happen, though. Solar kill shot, possible. The solar kill shot is the great guessing thing in all this. It's much easier to do the math on Earth's magnetic shift than it is on when the sun's going to pop off in a terrible way. Scrolling enhance. T. Coleman, thoughts on electric rocks found in Africa? BS, natural, or possibly weakening magnetic field? I think they were hit by cosmic thunderbolts, lightning of the gods, and over-electrification of the atmosphere causing an arc discharge down from the L shells. Robert Schoch has phenomenal information on this. He had phenomenal information, we both did, when we had our chat in 2014. I put the best part of that in the first video in the playlist, by the way. Did you guys know I have a playlist on all this stuff? Brad Jones, how long this event happens again? Asking when it starts or how long until it's over. Again, the sun could pull this anytime. And then we're stuck waiting until the 2030s, 2040s for the main show. Micronova. Crust unlocks from the mantle. But again, the moment the sun takes out power, there's no travel, there's no prepping. You are where you are with what you got. That's why we're really hoping it doesn't happen too soon. Is it possible that ancient temples and doorways to nowhere with cymatic patterns require the resonance pressure energy of the event to start working? Maybe, or maybe maybe some of them were just built that way. It is so hard to know. Going down those rabbit holes sure is fun, though. Really gets your imagination going. Fantastic topic. I'm sure there's more to it than is obvious. I have never studied those gates to nowhere before. I do know what you're talking about, though. And I fully support any curiosity derived therefrom. Susan, thank you very much. You were greatly appreciated. I literally feel your positivity, guys, by the way. I feel your negativity too. It upsets me. Thoughts on bicycles for post-Killshot mobility? Maybe. People are going to be looking at you like, what is he doing? I wonder if he has any food. Or I wonder if I could eat him. Travel is going to be somewhere in between impossible and very, very dangerous when everything goes down. You will always do better if you can stay in your castle, bug in, rather than bug out. Marco, thank you. Appreciate it. Wait for it. That's a good one. I like that. You get 10 points for that one. I don't know what you do with these 10 points. They're not redeemable for anything fun, but you have them. Andy, Edgar Casey's maps of Australia and New Zealand land bridge accurate? Maybe. It's just as possible that those are what once was. Now, granted, that area of Oceania, it is one of the areas that has the potential for land rise. But then again, I think the last several cycles it has been sinking and sinking and sinking and sinking and sinking. Hopefully for people living there right now, that turns around and it starts to rise again. There are parts of Edgar Casey's maps. Everybody who has these future maps of the world, there's parts of it I'm like, yeah, they got that one right. And there's other parts that I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know where they got that. Is what it is. Okay, so there's that one. What do I think of the fusion story? Tease. They're not going to let us have that. That, and if you know about the danger of fusion, one powerful geomagnetic storm or too many cosmic rays, that thing blows bigger than anything that's ever blown on the planet in the history of, well, modern history anyway. In terms of whether or not it's going to help us, I don't think so. All right, we are caught up. So my sloshback is just a theory. No, breakaways. No, it's not. Get a tub of water. Go like this. Tell me, does the water just go that way or does it slosh back this way pretty darn hard? It's just how you pull out this is. It's called physics and math, clown. Why would the Earth not continue its flip in the same direction of rotation, i.e. a complete north-south flip next time versus flipping back? So this is one where the evidence, we have to go with the evidence above everything else. And they have evidence of what we identify as the magnetic North Pole going back to that same location every other time. Modern geophysicists say, oh, we have records of it here going back millions of years, so we don't think the pole moves. Of course, we have all the information that says it does move. But if it didn't go back, if it kept going around, then it wouldn't show the same polarity. They would literally be reversed like that every 12 or every 24,000 years. And that's not what they show. That's not what's tricking modern geologists. It's that it's the same pole they can detect every time. It's one of those things that is easier to see the evidence and extrapolate than know the exact mechanisms. Kind of like the ancients could predict eclipses, but they thought the sun and the moon were living creatures who would get angry at them for misbehaving. They didn't understand what was going on, but they understood what was going on. Thinking about food production after the kill shot, what are my thoughts on livestock, how to protect them? Just found you last week and lots to learn. Oh my God. First of all, welcome. Second of all, you have much homework to do. The kill shot should not do much for livestock. If you're talking about you rely on the world to get water and feed and everything else for your livestock, yeah, then it's going to affect livestock. But the solar kill shot itself won't affect them. The solar micronova, and that'll affect them a little bit more. Get creative. I mean, unless you're going to build a bunker big enough to take all your livestock down with you, get as creative as you possibly can. Think about weather, think about wind, think about hail, think about lightning, think about cold. It's my best advice. I can't imagine like waking up to this like a week ago and being thrown into here with the observers. Can any of you definitively say if you knew none of this until like a week ago and then you just got thrown in here, like that your brain wouldn't explode? Wow. Sean, ETA of Ice Age after the event. If you're talking about the solar micronova, couple hours. It's only going to last a couple weeks to a couple months, though. It is not like some of these folks say. This is where you look to Robert Schoch's idea of the ice age ending in a couple of days or even a couple of hours. Because as Earth's magnetic field is coming back, the sun is going to be super flaring like crazy as the surface violently reorganizes in the wake of the micronova. That pumps a lot of energy back into the planet. Survival ideas, underground, correct location, wood stove and lots of pellets. The kind of things that would make you survive a winter in Canada with no power. Good question, though. That one I've scrolled too far. Crisco Fist, cool name. Ben, thoughts on Northeast Ohio, 1,300 feet above sea level, small town. Maybe that'll do it in terms of staying out of the water. Cold and lake effect snow come to mind. Northeast Ohio, I mean, how far away could you possibly be from Cleveland or Akron? What people in the eastern part of the country think away from a big city is not what we out west here think away from a big city is. Remember that. But yeah, Crisco Fest, I've seen people in far worse situations than that. You have at least a good shot of being safe from the water. The problem is 1,300 feet above sea level. How far above Lake Erie? Because that's going to slosh. Lake Erie's not at sea level. That's an important one to remember. On behalf of someone in chat who keeps asking, what about children with cochlear implants? Oh. I'll stay on as positive as I can. It's possible. Nothing will happen. It is almost certain that those children can enhance their already strong energy field of their body with the right diet, exercise, and positive mental attitude. It's much harder to get children to do that. Yes, I know. I have a 7, a 5, and a 2-year-old. Questions like that are really hard. It's not only that I don't have a definitive answer, but the concept hurts. There's a chance they won't be affected. It is certain that decisions the child makes about their own life or the parents make about the child's life can increase their chances of nothing happening. Oh, I've missed quite a few here. Here we go. I inherited undeveloped property, 70 acres. My dad had purchased about 5,000 feet elevated northwest of Trinidad, Colorado. Dang, nice. There are some rocky outcrops and some pine trees. Good spot to make a stand. Yes. Take into account everything else I've said about we have winter here in Colorado. Stock up on the things you should be stocking up from, but yes. Muddy. Yes. Jammin, should we be trying to prepare for a lack of oxygen? No. This event has never just killed everything on the surface. with a lack of oxygen like that. I know there are people who talk about we're going to need to have oxygen supply and air filters and this and that. Okay, why is anything alive here if this happens every 12,000 years? Why didn't they need those things? Not as worried about that. Hello again, Baby Yoda. My winter well tent stove pokes through a house window and easily keeps my house at 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm well prepped this side. Right on. I actually know somebody who lives not too far away from us, buddy. They actually took out like the thin metal part of their chimney and exhaust and replaced it with clay. Just totally genius. I hadn't even talked to them before they did it. Super impressed. Hello again, Lightseeker. Comment on Iran. Thanks. You mean how Iran and Pakistan and Afghanistan lost power today? Yeah. My first thought was there's not much on the sun that could have done this. Was it cosmic rays? That's possible. We're also a little due for a geomagnetic jerk, and that one always sends ridiculous currents through the surface somewhere on the planet, and you never know where it's going to be. And I've been waiting for the next geomagnetic jerk for several months here. Or maybe somebody hacked it. Or maybe because they are crappy systems, they just failed. Hard to know. And if that's not what you were talking about, I don't know what you were talking about. And I apologize tremendously from the bottom of my heart. Ventus, what about the White Mountains of New Hampshire? Are they high enough? It's possible if you're up at the top of one of the highest ones that you could stay dry. Is that where your house is? Is that where your bunker is? Is that where all your supplies are? How do you live there 10 years without power? Handle those winters. And again, yeah, even if you're in rural New Hampshire, what people in the East consider rural, people out here in the West are like, yo, you're like on the border of downtown and suburbia. New England is in big trouble for many reasons. But yeah, it's possible you could stay dry. But then what? Am I still going to have an event in San Diego? Oh my God, I hope so, Subcoder. We've got tons of great comments from people on a Joe Rogan clip today, by the way. I thought it was from a couple days ago, but yeah, I noticed observers showed up on the Joe Rogan clip and started mentioning me. At this point, we have to realize it's not that Joe Rogan doesn't know who we are. That's not it at all. It's something else. Coward. He's not going to have me on. He would have had me if he cared and he was ever going to have me on. It would have happened already. There's something else to that story. Thanks for everything, Ben. We enjoy handing out the Observer patches. Nice. Shirts, books, etc., thus stoking discussions. I'm sharing more and more with former JPL, Caltech, and MIT engineers. I bet you have more luck with JPL folks than Caltech and MIT folk, but that's just what I'm guessing. But even still, much appreciated. That is an awesome thing that you are doing. Super cool. We've got a bunch from here. Thanks for all your hard work. How do I feel about Cascade Foothills, approximately 1,700 feet minus Mount Hood, of course? Maybe it's high enough. The West Coast has seismicity, the likes of which none of you living there have ever seen. There will be volcanoes going off there. I don't know what the population density is there. There are worse spots to be than that, put it that way. There are better spots to be than that. Whether or not that's high enough, again, I can't answer that question really. There's too many factors in play. Big River Bear, can I expand on propane? My entire community in the driftless region of Southwest Wisconsin is a propane tank by the house. It's very possible they're all going to explode, is my answer. Is it guaranteed? No. Is it a little higher on my risk list than having metal inside your body or bullets going popcorn? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It presents a significant risk, put it that way. One that I'm not going to ignore. Will the ranges near Melbourne, Australia be too cold? I don't know. Maybe. How cold does it get there? There are ways to get around cold. Geothermal. Insulation from the ground. It's not about how cold it gets. It's about how much you can be prepared for it. Which is a lot easier if you live somewhere versus you're trying to bug out to a location. That makes it challenging. Thanks for always incorporating humor, although sometimes I wonder when you make these cannibalistic comments, I need to improve my running speed and time. Yeah, you do. Chucky Bucky. That's a heck of a name. How many acres is Observer Ranch or whatever the name of the project one that people can buy into that you've said costs a pretty penny? That answer is different whether you're talking about right now or the aftermath. Right now, 77 acres. If you want to know more, click on the Observer Ranch link below. Send us an email. We do have 3 spots left. And for people who are newly getting interested, we are holding those spots for accredited investors only, who also not only want to live there, but want to be our business partners in the overall ranch operation while the world is still turning. If that's you, Observer Ranch link down below the video, send us an email. We'll get back to you within about 24 hours. Much love, brother. Keep up the good work. Much appreciated. Thank you for saying so. And thank you for being here. Did I scroll past one there? No, I don't think I did. Oh, we are caught up. All right. Also down below, in addition to the Observer Ranch links, our events, our Blitz tour coming up. We added San Jose, California today. We will be adding more in the coming days. That first link down below in the description box, it's got all of the locations that we're going to be, when we're going to be there. You can click the link, get tickets to any one of them. Hope to see you guys out there. This will be the last tour, and then everything is at Observer Ranch going forward in time. Also a link down there to Twitter. Again, if you're not following us on Twitter, you're missing out on just so much. Also links to other things like our books and our playlist. Ms. Fortier, thank you. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Steve Austin, you are stone cold wrong. Midwest U.S. is not safest from the floods. You have not watched the playlist. Like, if you guys want to, you can guess your way through this. If you want to, you can pay for my books and read the stuff. Or you can just sit there and watch as I tell you the answer to whatever you're wondering and your next 5,000 questions on this topic. Just watch the playlist. Is southern Morocco a safe zone? Whoa. All right, dude. Nobody has ever asked me that before. Southern Morocco. Holy cow. If you're high enough at elevation, maybe. Maybe. Better have full year's supply of food and water. Better be up high, because that wave is coming. That sloshback is coming. Max, did I get the jabs? Okay, you weren't watching earlier in the video. No, neither did anybody in my family. You think I can't spot something like that when it comes? Will lead blankets block X-rays from the sun? Yes, But X-rays from the sun don't get down past the upper atmosphere, and lead will induce electric current into you. That's a bad idea. The Fauci ouchie. That's got to be my favorite name for this thing. Certainly goes over better than the bioweapon with spiritual implications. Thanks, Steve Rush. Appreciate that. Appreciate any positivity. It all matters. Not only do I appreciate the receipt of it on this end, but I appreciate the fact that you are in that mindset. This on a previous one. Thank you. Yes, watch the playlist. I don't care what you think about Andrew Tate. I really don't. His level of confidence and his mindset towards the world better be how you feel towards surviving this, or don't even try. You are untouchable. You cannot be shaken. You have ice water in your veins. You are going to do everything you possibly can to build yourself, build your mind, and build your preparedness for yourself, for your family, and for anybody else you plan to take care of. And don't let anybody tell you you can't, especially something up there, especially Captain Doubt. Captain Doubt married Lieutenant Loser, and you just don't want to hang out with those people. Look at new naval maps. There are new naval maps. Email me a link to those, buddy. Any correlation with Earth's rotation and the Jennebekov effect? Probably not. I have included that stuff in the disaster playlist simply because it's just one of like 8 different reasons why you can look at somebody who's like, the Earth can't turn over, and just be like, nope, it can because of this and this and this and this and this and this. And one of the things on that list would be the Jennebekov effect. The most likely scenario is that the Earth's crust unlocks from the mantle, at which point the ice weight just takes over. If you look at that, there's an unfathomable coincidence woven together there where if you unlock the crust from the mantle right now, Greenland and the part of Antarctica south of Australia would want to go to the point of greatest centrifugal force. That's the equator. This is basic physics, by the way. And if you happen to do that, you happen to get the same poles up here and down here as are in the ancient stories and as in Chan Thomas's book. Not going to ignore all those coincidences being put together like that. But yeah, the Jennebekov effect is just one of many reasons why when somebody's like, the Earth can't turn over, you can be like, my friend. Baby Yoda, you will be a survivor. That's the mindset. I'm untouchable. That's how you need to feel about this. Look yourself in the, first of all, it's easy to look at yourself in the mirror. Look yourself dead in the eyes in the mirror. That's not the easiest thing in the world to do. And tell yourself how strong you are, how you are going to make it. You are going to save your kids. They will be telling stories about you 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, as one of the people who's restarted this age, one of the founders. Yeah, that's you. That's you. What about older ATVs for mobility? Oh, and there we go. Got to go scrolling. What about older ATVs for mobility to reach a better location after the solar flare protected? Snowmobile, four-wheeler, dirt bikes. Not terrible plans. Again, it's not like you're going across the country in one of those. But in terms of being able to, if you're like a couple miles away from this mountain peak you need to get to, yeah, that could work. If you live on the edge of suburbia in the rural areas, but you've been talking to grandma and grandma's got all of your supplies and extra food and stuff 30 miles away, yeah, absolutely. It's just that if you live out of state, you ain't getting to the ranch on one of those. But yes, JDK. I meant Iran after the event for living. Oh. Well, the sloshback is going to be pretty devastating to Iran. After the event, I don't see why it couldn't be okay, provided you survive there or you can manage to get to there. No, it wouldn't be terrible. It's going to be at roughly the same latitude it is now. Not much is going to change climatologically. Surviving there is a little bit of a challenge. Sent me an email on the 10th looking to buy around Canyon City area. Fam would love to work with the ranch. Lots of skills to offer. I think I remember that email from the 10th. Don't think you were asking about being a part of the ranch. I remember thinking to myself, well, if they actually do move there, I'm sure they'll send me another email. I don't have a recommendation about realtors. I don't have a recommendation about where around the Canyon City area. Come check it out. See what fits. See what feels good. Those aren't always the same things. And I was lackadaisical and I missed a bunch here. Hello from the Cumberland Plateau in Middle Tennessee. Hi. Thank you. Harold, thank you. Appreciate that. I was talking mostly to the chat, but if you were to search new naval maps, they will show where the waters will be. Is this like the future U.S. Navy map of America? I've seen that one. I've talked about that one on videos. New naval maps. All right, I'm going to look that up. DG Walker, thank you very much. And that's a cute little emoji. It's like a combination of a giant yellow thing and then that little teal pear that I seem to be so fond of for absolutely no logical reason whatsoever. But I am fond of it. Yes, Florida's gone. I just scrolled past far. I don't remember I don't see who said it, but somebody was like, is Florida gone? Yeah. MM, what do I call this cult? Your mom's house. Off. Get your girl out of my DMs. Get a horse and buggy ready for travel. Yes, Carolyn Smith, you should. Ben, following for years, where is better, New Mexico or Colorado mountains? Was gonna Munker in Missouri. Definitely don't go with Missouri. There's places in both New Mexico and Colorado I absolutely love. You know, Taos is pretty expensive and it's getting a little bit more populated, but the areas around there, anywhere on the eastern range of Colorado or maybe even just off the eastern range, not terrible. If you find something that you feel is right for you in those areas, don't pass it up. There's going to be survivors in both of those locations. Dr. Will Franklin. Got your head in the right spot. Put it this way, both of those are better than Missouri. A lot better. Yeah, JG, you were born for this. That's what I'm talking about right there. Yeah. That's the positivity. That's what you need. When I say you can increase your body's energy field, it's not just avoiding the negative. It's being ultra positive. Not just thinking maybe I can do this, knowing you can. It really makes a difference. No, Barefoot Gardener, please. No drinking game for when I say watch the playlist, watch the playlist, watch the playlist. Please. For all of your sakes, no drinking game. As hilarious as that was that day, no. Pike, what about metals in our blood? It's an enticing topic. Remember, none of these things fried everybody in the world before. How strong is your body energy field? Diet, your physical body, and your mental acuity, positivity, meditation, rooting out traumas. Get this thing as healthy and powerful as it can be. Don't feed it crap. That's the best bet any of us have. Am I planning on setting up a global ham radio network before and after the event? No, none of that's going to work. In addition to most of those devices probably frying, the ionosphere is going to be unfathomably unpredictable. Nothing like any ham radio operator right now would even recognize. They'd be like, where am I? What am I skipping here? How am I doing this? I don't have planned to do that. If somebody at the ranch wants to have a ham radio and they want to try, more power to them. I don't think it's going to work. Anna Maria, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good to see you here. Yes, exactly. I've watched you discuss it in videos. That's why I figured you would have got what I was trying to say. I should have been more specific. No, you're good, man. Yeah, that future U.S. Navy map of America, where the center of the country is underwater, the wave of New Mexico coming up will actually be broader than that and not quite as far to the west. It's going to be a little more to the east. And that map doesn't show how much the Atlantic is going to attack. But yeah, stuff like that has positive and negative aspects to it. And it's worth looking at things like that. All right, what did somebody just repeat like 10 times here? High and big respect from Syria. What about the Mediterranean Sea? What if you have a cup of water and you're going like this? That's what I have to say about that. Heidi, you want to know if it's too late to be part of the Observer Ranch? No, but we have only 3 spots left. Down below the video, link to Observer Ranch website. Send us an email. Since we are down to our last 3 spots, we are really trying to hold these out for accredited investors who want to not only be part of the ranch, but want to be our business partners, part of the Observer Ranch Campground and Education Center before the world stops spinning. And I don't actually mean stop spinning, but you know what I mean, while the world's still going on. If that's you, click the link down below. Constant feature was the preaching work removed on March 2020. All religion and the bad thing was put in place there would be, I see what you're saying. Thank you for clarifying, Golden Age Archangel. Yeah, I don't know the exact messaging that the insiders had with COVID, but it was clearly an insider message to step things up a notch in all ways. It's a big club, and we aren't in it. Kim, you found the little teal pair flying through the sky. Okay, you might win. What do you win? I don't know. But you win. Love that. By the way, in addition to the Observer Ranch link down below, email us if you want to be, again, part of the ranch, an accredited investor, one of our equity partners, our business partners, etc. First link down there is to our Blitz Tour. Events, dates, tickets to the events. Today, after the morning news, we added San Jose to the list. We'll be adding more. Also, links to our books, playlists, and if you're not following me on Twitter, once again, what are you doing with your life? We have so much fun over there. Divinus King. Oh. I'll take 10. But again, only if you get your girl out of my DMs. Too thirsty. Anyway. I found that that's like the only thing that sets off trolls. So if you come up against like a troll somewhere on the internet, first of all, 9 out of 10 trolls are guys. And just repeat this. Get your girl out of my DMs. It's the only thing I've ever seen work on trolls. Doesn't work on all of them. Remember, trolling is like getting a prank call. Like there's nothing you can say on the phone. I know they don't do prank calls anymore, but for those of you who are more than like 35 years old, you could try to rationalize with the person giving you a prank call. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. That's the point of the prank call. Trolling is the exact same, but it feels so good to hit them back sometimes. I live in Sedona, Arizona, 3,300 feet. A lot of old volcanoes. Will they blow some of them? Yeah. A lot of the volcanoes probably go off there. I would also be concerned about the energetic vortices in Sedona and anywhere else that have known energetic vortices. Some of them might be really good for you. Some of them might not be. Some of them might be really dangerous. And there's just no way to know. Yada, yada, yada. I agree. I was made for Twitter. If you're not following me on Twitter, link is down below in the description box along with everything else. I was made for Elon Musk's new version of Twitter, put it that way. For the old version of Twitter, I was made for a permanent ban. Would gravity be altered with the movement of the crust? Probably not. Probably not. I get where that's coming from, but the kind of electromagnetic forces that would be needed to do something like that, or the severity of the movement, is more than any human could survive, at which point you don't care if gravity's changed or not. And there's no evidence of something like that happening before. So legit question, but legit question, and one I see a lot, actually. Truth Seeker, send me an email and I'll send you the information. Vortexer, no, micronovas do not just happen in binaries with a white dwarf. I've gone over this several times in the playlist. They have found micronova and recurrent nova in all different kinds of scenarios. Have you seen our video called They Don't Know Nova? Literally everything they've ever said about nova in the past 15, 20 years, it's all been debunked. They found single recurrent nova with no degenerate binary. They found singlet stars just going nova because they wandered into a gas cloud and exploded. Watch the playlist, my friend. And don't believe it when they're like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, we will now admit that micronova are real, after calling Ben Davidson a lunatic for the last couple of years. But it can't happen on the sun. It can only happen in this one little situation. Okay. The whole like, okay, now we're going to admit this, but don't believe it. It's just this. No, they've done that like 50 times in the last 3 years. They advance baby steps at a time. I am your trampoline. Anyway. Tim Norton, that's funny. That's funny. Atavium, why would the Arctic be frozen for over 2 million years if there was a pole shift? Here are my answers to that. 1, are you believing they're isotope dating? What is wrong with you? 2, there are still tropical glaciers today. And the Holocene is an interglacial, the hottest period. Before that, it was a glacial cycle. No chance that the Arctic or Antarctic is going to completely melt off in the middle of a glacial cycle. So not only is there no chance they're actually going to melt, but even if they happen to come during an interglacial, we've seen, nope, we still don't have them all melted. So you would know all of this, including the fact that trusting the isotope dating is literally one of the dumbest things anybody interested in geology could do ever. You'd know this if you watch the playlist. When you don't do your homework, I'm going to spank you in front of everybody. Ben, where in the Bible does it mention about this disaster? A lot of different places, but my favorite is in the book of Enoch. And Noah saw the world turned over and knew its destruction was near. But there are many places in the Bible and the Kolbrin Bible and the Quran and in Sanskrit texts that you can find this disaster, and they all conform very well. Elevation is key, says Andy Cochran. What prior evidence can we use? How high up do you find the seashells on the mountains? That's not a guarantee, though, because who knows how much the land has done this since the last time and how much is going to do it in this next one. But that's at least something you could use to start. And yeah, if you ask questions that I have answered like 100 times in the playlist, I'm going to spank you here in front of everybody. Max, no, watch the playlist. Anyway, guys, we're gonna call it there, because I'm gonna go see if anybody needs to. Any of my children need my help, or if my wife needs my help with my children. Guys, thank you again for jumping on here. Really appreciate that. I love doing these live shows with you. In the description box below the video, one more time, link to Observer Ranch if you want to be our business partner. Link to our Blitz Tour, when, the dates, where we're going to be, get tickets to the events. Follow me on Twitter. The link is down there as well. And there are other things, etc., etc. See you next time for the information delivery and the spankings when called for. But most importantly, I'll see you in the morning for the daily show. Be safe, everyone. And thank you, Baby Yoda. That's a good goodbye.